there's something to be said for an unconventional style. As great as Kessler is, you can prepare to fight somebody who's totally conventional. There's nobody else in the world exactly like Joe Calzaghe.
It looks to me that Calzaghe may have broken Kessler in the second half of that round.
It's good. As you're doing for stepping into him. Don't let you can't handle second attack. You can't handle second attack. Top and bottom, top and bottom. Oh, I love his job he's doing. Fantastic. That's the one. The last 30 seconds was beautiful. Oh, more, two more.
You know what's about now. Knock him out. You know it. Just keep hitting him. Just keep going at him.
Breathing. Come on now. Get me tired. I know that.
11 round?
11 grand. I'm not hitting what I told you. Yeah. Don't give me courage.
You notice something before the beginning of each round, Calzaghe gets up first. Psychologically, that's really rough on your opponent, especially when he's tired. But every round, he gets up 15 seconds before the bell rings. And it impresses the judges.
And there have been 2 occasions on which he didn't sit down on the stool at all.
Yeah, and that
was an old George Foreman tactic for proving his dominance. Jabs in the 10th round. Calzaghe 14 out of 42 to only 10 of 28 for Kessler. Harold Lederman has not found a round to give to Mikkel Kessler in quite some time. 2 rounds to go, and you heard one of the trainers in Kessler's corner say, "You're not doing what we tell you to do."
Kessler's in his prime. He fought this fight as well as he could fight it. In the last round, knowing he needs a knockout, he tried to make it happen. Calzaghe weathered the storm. And I don't know if Kessler really believes he can win this fight anymore.
Well, I think Kessler's fighting a very good fight. He just said that with a phenomenal fighting machine. Any other fighter in the world, possibly, even in different weight divisions, he would probably be more successful and maybe beat them. Well, Calzaghe is in a whole zone by himself tonight. He's fighting a great fight.
He's been in a zone by himself for a long time, Emmanuel. If you look at his amateur and professional career, Joe Calzaghe hasn't lost a fight in 17 years. There are a lot of people who denigrated his opposition, but when you look at that record, there's a reason. And he's showing it tonight.
Well, he's really impressing me tonight. The Lacey fight wasn't as impressive as this fight is to me, because I thought a lot of situations made Lacey very vulnerable that night, but he's fighting a fantastic fight tonight.
Lacey was a far more limited fighter in style than Mikkel Kessler. And not as tall, not as rangy.
Yeah, this is a guy that matches up physically to him.
Kessler, 7 years younger, 1 inch taller, 2 inches longer in the arm, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Just as unbeaten as Calzaghe.
And as he's being chopped down.
And just as determined still to try to win this fight.
That's right. As he's being chopped down, he's throwing back.
Well, you guys make a great point. This isn't necessarily the exposure of Mikkel Kessler as something less than what he was supposed to be.
Yes, it's just a fantastic performance by a fantastic fighting machine named Joe Calzaghe. Kessler is still a very good fighter.
Somewhere Bernard Hopkins is watching. Calzaghe calls him Old Hopkins. But the discussion has been on for quite some time. And what a fascinating fight it would be, because of Hopkins' counterpunching style against Calzaghe's constant flood of punches.
It's hard for me to see any super middleweight, light heavyweight, anyone dominating this fight the way he's fighting now, unless it was an exceptionally great fighter. Anybody's going to have troubles with him.
11 rounds down. Does Kessler have a miracle rally? Or is it another magical night for Calzaghe in Wales?
I know he's annoying. I know it. You got to go out there and be hard on him now. He's suffering. Keep going at him.
Last round, dominate for him. You're going to way on, chocolate box before he punches. All right, let jab work, let jab work, let jab work. Okay, you win.
Okay, you got it. Now listen, keep it tidy, don't go raggedy, and keep stepping up to your right.
You know, it's fascinating, Emmanuel. Kessler puts up a brave and spirited fight in every round. But between rounds, sitting in his corner, he looks absolutely shell-shocked.
Yes, he looks like he's giving up his look, but he comes back and starts fighting as soon as the bell rings.
You know why he's shell-shocked? Because he's not doing anything wrong, Kessler. He's doing everything right. Calzaghe is a fighter against whom you can do everything right, and he'll make it come out wrong.
In fact, Kessler expressed exactly that before the fight when he said Joe's style is to spoil your boxing. That's a great phrase for what's happened tonight. He has spoiled Kessler's boxing.
You see how smart that Calzaghe is. He was getting hit with those right hands early out. He would miss punches. Now he's beginning to bend over to his left to avoid getting hit with the right hands coming from Kessler. To his left. Calzaghe's left.
Kessler's fighting like an animal right now.
But I like that.
Good uppercut by Kessler. Momentarily stunned Calzaghe. With his left eye closing up, Kessler continues to try to find the one answer that will solve the riddle that has befuddled him through most of the second half of the fight.
These are super middleweights, but they're harking back to the great middleweight matchups of all time. Graziano and Marcel Cerdan and Tony Zale would be proud watching these guys.
They're both fighting like two undefeated fighters, too.
Calzaghe's going to bank on offense down the stretch. It's what brought him this far. Kessler appears to need the knockout.
He needs it, and he's trying to get it.
Great body punch by Kessler. Calzaghe stands tall and keeps throwing. Big right hand by the Dane. Here comes the Welshman. Kessler's best round in the second half of the fight is not enough to change the probable outcome here. And the crowd knows what they've seen.
But I'm anxious to see his next fight.
Calzaghe's almost in a Ray Robinson position where, as good as you might be in the super middleweight division, I don't know if this guy can be beaten by what's out there right now.
Well, he himself has said, if I can beat Mikkel Kessler, there's nothing left at 168 pounds. I'm headed to 175. That, of course, overlooks the possibility of a fight against a Kelly Pavlik or a Jermaine Taylor, either of whom might want to fight Calzaghe after their probable rematch at 166 pounds. You saw Harold Lederman's final scorecard, a clear and decisive victory for the Welshman, Joe Calzaghe. Great fights often come down to the force of will. Joe Calzaghe's will, for 44 fights now, has been indomitable. And let's take a look at the three judges who will render the official verdict. Lederman's final score was 117-111 Calzaghe. That means 9 rounds to 3.